Bearing is just a way with which we can measure the angle. Okay, bearing is indirectly an angle only. Okay, but when you are measuring the angle of a certain place, then you should also know that that place is how far. So let's say if I take an example of place A, okay, and place B. If I want to go from place A to B, then what can I do? I will create a vertical line which is called as north line. Okay, this is conventional. Okay, this is a north line. And from north line, I will measure the angle in clockwise direction. So for a bearing, which is an angle, what we need to do? It is always measured with respect to north line. This is point number one. And it is always measured in clockwise direction. Okay, this is very important because in general, when we do trigonometry, in trigonometry, angles are measured in anti-clockwise direction. And that is the first point where, as a student, you can get confused. Okay, in bearing, we always measure in clockwise direction. Now, from a north line, if I measure a clockwise angle, I will go like this. Okay, by the way, this is clockwise in the direction of clock, and this is anti-clockwise. Okay, I'm expecting everyone knows that. So in the clockwise direction, if I measure the angle and if I connect a line from A to B, okay, then it is clearly visible that the angle will be somewhat this. So let's say, for example, this angle is 120. Okay, I'm taking just random number. So what do we say that? We will say bearing of B. Why B? We were measuring from A, but I'm saying bearing of B because we are going towards B. So you have to always understand that where you are going, you will say bearing of that point. So bearing of B from A. From A means from where we measured it. Now it will make more sense. So bearing of B from A is 120. Now again, there is a conventional factual point that if this angle is a two-digit angle, then we write that angle as 0 followed by those two digits. Let's say if bearing is 65, then we'll not write 65, we'll write 065. Okay, it is just a factual thing. Okay, there's no logic behind. Possibly the devices what they are using for that, we have to keep three digits. Okay, one more reason, the maximum possible angle is 360. So that can also be the reason why we always put 0 for a two-digit angle. So this is what all we are supposed to know for bearing. Okay. If you want to solve any question on bearing, then along with that, you must know sine and cosine rule. Okay. That was done in last class. And then if required, area of triangle. This is the maximum possibility for a question to be asked on this topic. Okay. Now we'll see the question and from there, possibly it should be okay for everyone. Diagram shows position of 3 points ABC on map. Bearing of B from A is 70. Now you can see that it is 70, but it is written as 070. It is just conventional. So bearing of B from A. From A means you are going to measure from A and this is 70. Okay, since I am doing calculation, so I need not write 070. That is just okay if you have to just write it down as the answer. Okay, so it is a 70-degree angle. Now angle ABC is 50 as it is seen in the diagram. AB is equal to CB means these two lines are equal. It means that this triangle ABC is an isosceles triangle. Work out the bearing of C from A. Of C from A means from A, we need this whole angle. Okay. Internally, like if you will look at this figure, then we just need this angle. Okay. And for that, we can use isosceles triangle thing. Okay. In an isosceles triangle, the angle opposite to equal sides are equal. So I can say angle A and angle C will be equal and let them be theta for a while. Okay. So in triangle ABC, theta plus 50 plus theta, sum of three angles is always 180. and that will give me 2 theta is equal to 180 minus 50, that is 130, and that will give me theta is equal to 65. Now, if I want bearing of C from A, it means 70 plus 65. Okay. So the total angle will be 70 plus 65, and that will be 135 degrees. This is the final answer, and that's all we were supposed to do in this question. Diagram shows position of 3 points ABC on map. Bearing of B from A is 70. Now you can see that it is 70, but it is written as 070. It is just conventional. So bearing of B from A. From A means you are going to measure from A, and this is 70. Okay, since I am doing calculation, so I need not write 070. That is just okay if you have to just write it down as the answer. Okay, so it is a 70-degree angle. Now angle ABC is 50 as it is seen in the diagram. AB is equal to CB, means these two lines are equal. It means that this triangle ABC is an isosceles triangle. Work out the bearing of C from A. Of C from A means from A, we need this whole angle. Okay. Internally, like if you will look at this figure, then we just need this angle. Okay. And for that, we can use isosceles triangle thing. Okay. In an isosceles triangle, the angle opposite to equal sides are equal. So I can say angle A and angle C will be equal, and let them be theta for a while. Okay. So in triangle ABC, theta plus 50 plus theta, sum of three angles is always 180. And that will give me 2 theta is equal to 180 minus 50, that is 130. And that will give me theta is equal to 65. Now, if I want bearing of C from A, it means 70 plus 65. Okay. So the total angle will be 70 plus 65, and that will be 1, 3. There's a Coast Guard station at point A and at B. B is due east of A. East means towards the right. Okay. West means towards the left. Right now we are in Middle East. Okay. So Middle East you can consider as a center point for your reference. So towards the left, you will have east as per the map, world map. And towards the right, you will have east, and towards the left, you will have west. Okay. So all Western countries, US, Europe, everything is on the left. And on the right, you'll have India and all other countries. Okay. The distance from A to B is 12. There is a rowing boat at R. R is on a bearing of 160 from A. From A, this is the angle. R is on a bearing of 220 from B. Now, this is for the first time you will see a reflex angle. Anything greater than 180 is known as a reflex angle. So since bearing is measured with respect to north line, this 220 degree will be taken like this. There's a speedboat at T. T is 5 km due south of A, as it is shown in the diagram. Work out the shortest distance from T to R. Give your answer correct to one decimal place. Now, shortest distance from T to R is possible when R is, now let's say this R point is a rowing boat. Okay. You just need to understand that R is actually moving. So R will move, and let's say it will reach somewhere over here. Then we will get the shortest distance. Okay. Shortest distance is always perpendicular distance. And in this case, we will consider the positions as stationary. Just imagine that this is what they have given us. So we will literally find this distance. Okay. Now for that, we need some information about the triangle. Okay. Let us try to find one by one. North lines with respect to line AB. Okay. Since A and B is a horizontal line. Why horizontal line? Because B is due east. So from this point, if you go east, then it's a horizontal line. Means this angle is 90 degree. And the overall angle is 160. So 160 minus 90 will give you the internal angle of a triangle. 160 minus 90 is 70. Similarly, on the other side, this angle which I'm marking is 90. And we can very easily get the third angle by doing 360 minus all remaining. So 360 minus 220 minus 90 is 50. So the internal angle is 50. Now, whenever I have two angles of a triangle, I can also always get the third one. So this third angle will be 180 minus 70 minus 50. That will be 60. So far, we have just got everything for triangle ABR. Okay. About T, what is given? T is due south. South means it is exactly at the bottom. Okay. So if I have this full angle as 160, then I can get this small angle using the straight line because the line NAT is a straight line. Okay. So because of that, 160 plus that angle will be 180 and this internal angle is 20. Okay. I needed TR length. For that, I should have at least one more angle or one more side so that I can work accordingly. Okay. Now, based on what is given over here, I can very easily get AR. Okay. Why AR? Because AR is a part of that small thin triangle. If I have AR, then in that thin triangle, I can apply cosine rule to get TR. That is my whole aim. If this is clear, then you guys can try parallelly. Anyways, I'm doing it over here. Okay. So you can also see. Now to get AR, when we have all three angles, we should always go with sine rule. Okay. Because sine rule application is relatively easy. So I will write AR over sine 50 because the angle opposite to AR is 50 is equal to 12 over sine 60. Now, some of you might be thinking that earlier I had written sine 50 over AR, this type of expression. Like earlier I had written sine up, but since this is ratio, you can write it in either way. Okay, sine A over angle or angle over sine A, both will be same. So we should generally prefer to write the unknown up. Okay, no such rule. You can get it in any form. So from here, the value of AR is very straight away possible. 12 sine 50 over sine 60. If I put that in calculator, then 12 times sine 50 over sine 60 is 10.6. One decimal place is asked, so I can keep these answers here only. Okay, the answer comes out to be 10.6146. Okay, but if you see the round off, then it will be just 10.6. Now, since I have got AR, I will just make that triangle again. Okay, that small triangle. This is ATR. Okay, so this is 5, this is 20, and this is 10.6. To get TR, I can use cosine rule. For cosine rule, I'll write TR square is equal to 5 square plus 10.6 square minus 2 times 5 times 10.6 times cos 20. Okay, and this calculation can give you TR very easily. That will be your final answer. So on solving, it will be 25 plus 10.6 square minus 2 times 5 times 10.6 times cos 20, and TR comes out to be 6.14. Up to one decimal place, I can write it down as 6.1 kilometers. Okay, ideally the distance is perpendicular distance when we talk about shortest distance. But in this case, we are assuming that this rowing boat is here only. So we are just getting the length of TR. This is the process we have to follow. Diagram shows position of three towns: Acton, Boston, and Colton. I'll call them as ABC. Okay, that is better. Just look in the diagram carefully. Most of the things are given in the diagram, but that is also given in statements. So Boston is 8 kilometer from Acton. So we can say B is 8 kilometer from Acton on a bearing of 037. So from A, B is at a bearing of 037, that is 37 degree, and it is 8 kilometer. So that distance is also given. Colton is 9 kilometer from Boston. So B and C distance is 9 kilometer on a bearing of 150. Now this 150 is measured from B. That's why on B, you need a north line. So this is a north line on B, and then 150 degree is measured accordingly. Find the bearing of Colton from Acton. So from A, we need a bearing of C. Indirectly, they are asking us to figure out this angle, let that angle be theta. Okay. And if we get that, then 37 plus theta will be our answer. Why that will be the answer? Because bearing is generally an angle measured from clockwise direction, from the north line in clockwise direction. So this whole angle will be our answer. So we just need to find theta now. And as I was saying above, that we can use either sine rule, cosine rule, depending on the question. So this time we may have to use something. Okay, let us see. We need this angle. And now have a look at point B carefully and see that the two north lines which are there on A and B, since both of them are north lines, they are parallel to each other. And if they are parallel to each other, then consider these two angles as supplementary. There's a property for parallel lines, which you may have done in lower grades, that if there are two parallel lines intersected by a transversal, then the co-interior angles are supplementary. Supplementary means sum is 180. So let's say this is angle 1 and this is angle 2. So angle 1 plus angle 2 is 180. That is what we'll be using over here. Okay, and it can be used in all similar questions like this for later ones as well. So we have this angle is 37. The angle at B will be 180 minus 37. Okay, so 180 minus 37. You don't have to mention the properties. It is just you have to know. So 180 minus 37 is 143. And now look at point B again. Overall angle at any point is always 360. Okay, like full circular angle is always 360, out of which we just need this remaining angle, which is a part of triangle. So the angle at B, which is a part of triangle, will be 360 minus 143 minus 150. And that will be 67. Okay, till here we are just applying simple geometry. Okay, now by doing that, we have got angle 67. Okay, now the next point is, in order to get this theta, let's say if they would have given distance from A to C, let's say, okay, it is not given right now, but if it was given, then you could have gone with sine rule. Okay, I'm just showing you because this is the thing what you have to learn how to think. Okay, so let's say if AC is given, then I will write sine 67 over AC equals sine theta over 9. In sine rule, we take the sine of angle and the opposite side. So you can see the ratio sine of angle and the opposite side, and then sine theta over 9. So if AC is given, we could have got theta using sine rule directly. Unfortunately, over here it is not given, means we can't use it. We have to go with cosine rule. For cosine rule, there's a simple thing. If I need this side, AC, then I must have the other two sides and angle between those two sides. If I have any other angle, it is of no use. So I can use cosine rule in that, and I'll write AC square is equal to 8 square plus 9 square minus 2 times 8 times 9 times cos 67. In order to understand this, there is a class recording for the last workshop, which is there in group. Okay. So if you want to revise sine rule, cosine rule, how to apply, and some questions, watch that. Okay. It will be all clear. Plus, I'm recording this as well. Okay. So you can watch this later. So how I applied this, I hope that is clear. Now it is just calculation and we can get AC. The whole and sole purpose of getting AC is, you can see above, if we have AC, I can get theta. Okay. So I'm trying to find AC using cosine rule. So calculations can be done using calculator. It is 8 square plus 9 square minus 2 times 8 times 9 times cos 67. And then I have to take square root of that. So the final value of AC after taking square root comes out to be 9.42. It is 9.4199. We can write it down as 9.42 kilometers. Okay, it's all calculator thing. Use it and you will get it. Now, once we have AC, we can move back again to that boxed equation. Okay, and over there you can see that we can get AC by cross multiplying. So I will write, okay, we can get sine theta directly because now we have AC. So it will be sine 67 over AC, which is 9.42 times 9 is equal to sine theta. Now this is a part where some students make mistake. Okay, we have been asked an angle. Okay, so whatever you get on the left hand side, you have to take sine inverse of that. Just be very clear, you have to take sine inverse of that everything. So again, we'll go to calculator, sine inverse of, then we will just type in the whole thing inside. Sine 67 times 9 divided by 9.42. And the theta value comes out to be, okay, I'm just writing this step for the sake of clarity. Theta will be sine inverse of this sine 67 over 9.42 times 9. And on calculation, this will come out to be 61.577. Okay. One decimal place they are saying, so we can even write 61.6. But this is not the final answer. Can anyone write in the chat what will be the final answer? Final answer, okay, it is enough time given now. And I was expecting at least year 11 students could write it, okay, but no problem. So the final answer is they're asking the bearing of Colton from Acton, okay. So this whole thing will be the answer and it will be 37 plus 61.6. Just add it. This will be your answer. So 37 plus 61.6, it is 98.6. They're saying correct up to one decimal place. So this is all fine. Diagram shows a ball in a shape of hemisphere. The ball is made of from metal. Okay. So this is a hemispherical ball. Okay. And you can see that, imagine that it is a solid ball. Okay. So from that, we have carved out the metal from inside and we have got this type of ball. Okay. Both radius is given, means from there you can understand that there is some thickness of this ball. Okay. We will consider everything as per the requirement. Outer radius and inner radius are there in the diagram. Thickness is uniform. Work out the volume of the metal. Now we just need to find volume of metal used over here. Okay. So for that, we should know volume of hemisphere, which is 2 by 3 pi r cube. Okay. And when we have these type of questions, we simply do the bigger volume, the outer volume minus inner volume. So volume of metal will be outer volume minus inner volume. Okay. Outer inner have only difference of radius. So from the outer volume, which will be the whole thing, I will remove the inner volume and I'll get the volume of metal used. So this question is just formula application. Okay, it is not difficult. At the end, we have to write answer to the nearest whole number. If any one of you is clear, you can definitely try on your own and then check your answer from the screen. So outer is 2 by 3 pi r cube. So pi 12 cube minus 2 by 3 pi 9 cube. Now here there's one thing which I want you to understand. Whenever we have common terms like this, okay, like in general, we guys might have a habit of finding both of them separately and then subtracting it. But when you see a common term, take it out. It will be easy for remaining calculation. Now you have to take 2 by 3 pi only one time and then 12 cube minus 9 cube. Okay, so make a habit doing like this. It will be easy and time saving. So 2 by 3 times pi times 12 cube minus 9 cube. So on calculating, this comes out to be 2092.3 centimeter cube. They're saying to the nearest whole number. So the nearest whole number will be 2092 centimeter cube. That's it. The diagram shows solid made from cone and hemisphere. Okay. Volume of all standard figures will be given in the booklet. So you need not worry about that. But it is recommended eventually with practice if you can learn them. Okay. The ones who are in year 11, they should have done these questions before also. So it is better if you can learn it. But if you forget, then look from the formula booklet. Center of the circular face of cone incides with center of flat surface of hemisphere. Okay, that is visible in the diagram that they are exactly overlapped. Radius of circular face of cone is x. So this is x and is equal to the radius of hemisphere. Okay, so they both will be same only because they are sharing one face. Total height of S. Total height of S means this is the total height is 4 times the radius of hemisphere. 4 times the radius of hemisphere. Now see, this is also a radius because hemisphere is like from the center equal distances. And the remaining will be for cone. Okay. So the overall height is 4x. The height which is there in the hemispherical part is x. So height of the cone is 3x. It's all about how you interpret the diagram. Okay. A separate sphere of radius kx and the volume of sphere is 12.5 the volume of S. Work out the value of k. Okay. When we have these type of questions, we have to simply find volume of the given figure and then volume of sphere. Before we move on, I'm just writing standard formulas. Volume of hemisphere is 2 by 3 pi r cube. Volume of cone is 1 by 3 pi r square h. And volume of sphere, which will be used to compare, that is 4 by 3 pi r cube. Sphere and hemisphere, if you see the relation, you can see that you have to just twice this volume of hemisphere, you will get that for sphere. Okay. Now we need to find volume of this figure. Okay. So volume of S will be volume of cone, which is 1 by 3 pi. Radius is x. Look at the figure carefully and you will understand why I'm writing everything. So 1 by 3 pi r square h. R is x. H is 3x for cone plus 2 by 3 pi x cube. X is the radius. Moving forward, we can just simplify this a bit. Okay. So in simplification, you can see that the first one is pi by 3 times 3x cubed because x squared times x is x cubed plus 2 pi by 3 x cubed. So I can take pi by 3 x cubed out. Okay, pi by 3 x cubed out. And what I'm left with is 3. This 3 is the only term which has not been written out. So that will be written here. And 2 will be written from here. Okay, pi by 3 x cubed is out. So 3 plus 2 is 5. So finally I have 5 by 3 pi x cubed. This is the volume of solid. Now we have to get back to volume of sphere and then we will compare. It is also given that volume of sphere is 12.5 times volume of solid. We will be using that as well. So volume of sphere is 4 by 3 pi kx cube. Why kx cube? The sphere has radius kx. Rest is just formula. Okay. Now, according to the question, volume of sphere is 12.5 times volume of solid. Means volume of sphere is 12.5 times volume of solid, which has been found above. We have to just plug in the values. So on the left hand side, I will write 4 by 3 pi k cube x cube. If kx whole cube is there, then both of them will be cube. So k cube x cube is equal to 12.5 times 5 by 3 pi x cubed. So there are terms which can get cancelled. And once we remove the cancelled terms, we will be there with x cube. So I'm highlighting the terms which can be removed. Pi is there on both sides. It will be removed. X cube is there on both sides. That will also be removed. Removed means you have to divide on both sides by those terms. Okay. We are finally left with 4 by 3 k cube is equal to 12.5 times 5 by 3. Let's do that in calculator. So 12.5 times 5 by 3. that comes out to be 20.833. Okay, you can do it together. That will be times by k cube is 20.833 times 3 by 4. So I'm using the same calculator display, times that by 3, divide by 4. And then whatever I get, I have to take cube root of that to get k value. So the cube root of that whole value, 20.833 times 3 over 4, will give me 2.5. Now k is just a constant, okay? So it has no units. It will be just 2.5, okay? So once again, I'll give you a full review of the question. And if there is any doubt, a solid T is similar to solid S. The volume of T is 512 times volume of S. Total surface area of T is D times total surface area of S. Find the value of D. Okay. Now here you should know volume and surface area for similar shapes. Okay. I'm just writing the required relations. Whenever two shapes are similar, then the ratio of their volume is equal to some cube of ratio of their specific sides. Okay. Ratio of specific sides can be either height, can be radius, it can be anything. It will be given in the question. Some people also call this thing as a scale factor. So we can say volume 1 is, let's say the scale factor is K. Okay. So volume 1 is K cube times volume 2. This is also one of the way. Okay. In some school, they teach like this. In some, they can take L1 over L2. So if scale factor is taught to you, you can go with that. And similarly, the same thing for area. If I have area 1 over area 2 for two similar shapes, then that will be equal to L1 over L2 whole square or K square. Okay. This K is not connected with the one given in the question. This is just a concept. So don't mix that. So A1 over A2 is equal to K square, or A1 is equal to K square times A2. Basically, the scale factor is same. K value is same in volume and area, and that is what we will be using over here. As per the question, let me take this part separately. The volume of T is 512 times volume of S. 512 is basically that cube of scale factor. Okay, so I can also write this thing as, now in this question, since K was used, I'm using scale factor as lambda. Okay, you can take any other variable also. So this is lambda cube times Vs, and lambda cube is equal to 512. And from solving, you'll get lambda is 8. Okay, 512 is a perfect cube of 8. Use calculator if you don't know it. So we have got scale factor as 8. As I said, the same scale factor will be used for area also. So now let's talk about this area. Total surface area of T means, let's say area of T is equal to D times area of S. Okay, D is basically equal to lambda square, because in area, if you see, we have a square of scale factor. So that will be equal to 8 square, and the answer is 64, and that is what the D value is, 64. Okay, similar shapes, area and volume. This question belongs to that topic. Okay, so year 11 students, it is